Do you feel the scale of being the greatest chess YouTuber of all time?
I'm not cut out to be whatever a famous person is supposed to be. Like,
who do you have the biggest
yourself.
beef with?
I got into a beef with. I remember I was still coming up at the time, and nobody reached out to me.
How ambitious are you to continue pursuing your competitive chess?
Quite, but not publicly. When I start losing, I just completely can't reset. I'll train silently. I mean, it's the price of fame.
You have a 23 million viewed short titled I Hate This Woman with a nice photo of me. Do you still hate me?
Oh, yes. Well, the thumbnail is auto-generated.
It was a perfect timing.
It was.
They're not anymore. You know, you can select the thumbnails now.
Yes, I've sort of left that one up. Obviously, when you make shorts, you have no idea how viral they're going to go and to what audience. So that short is really fascinating because it hits people who have never, ever, ever seen any chess content.
Yep.
So I see comments on that short like, why did I get recommended this short? Who is this man and who is this woman and why does he hate her and why is it like? Because if you watch it, you have to know some inside lore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm retiring, and then someone's like, how can you retire from chess? Like, what a pussy! Like, the comments are so crazy.
That's really funny.
Yeah, and so I've left it up. I mean, I won't. Do you want me to change the title? I feel like
no.
we've settled our beef.
Yeah, for the record, I think everyone... Do you ever get annoyed when everyone steals your thumbnail titles, even for shorts? Because I'm pretty sure we published, and so did every other female chess streamer, and I Hate This Woman short like 10 times afterwards.
I have realized that.
So we can't really judge you
my
for
problem
it.
with Hikaru Nakamura, my problem with Anna Kramling, my problem with...
You started our biggest series.
There's no... I mean, I'm sitting at my computer and I see a BotezLive video or like an Anna Kramling video and it has a title that I've used before. My initial reaction is not, oh my god, they stole my title. Like,
That's exactly what I expected you're doing late night at the PC.
He throws a dart on us on the wall.
Unsubscribe.
No, it's part of the whole YouTube game. We've all borrowed and been inspired by titles
Yoink and twist.
Of other channels.
Sometimes we don't even twist, we just yoink.
Yeah, you just yoink. Yoink and twist can be taken out of context, but I yeah, like certain titles do well, especially the IRL titles. It's really hard to play over-the-board chess at a park against a person and come up with different words than trash talk, chess hustler. Well, none of us can use my GM mom. Anna Kramling kind of has that one.
She got lucky.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I don't mind. I remember I got into a mini beef with Dina.
When I have not seen any Dina Levy beef.
So I think I did an interview of a chess player at Paris for the Speed Chess Championship. And what she did, I think, is she took the interview, she put some subtitles, and she just put it on her own Instagram page. And it just got recommended to me, and I remember exactly where I was. I was on the toilet, just scrolling Instagram Reels, and I saw it on her page. And there was no real edit or anything, so I just commented like, what? I know that random channels take clips from our channels. I didn't know that fellow content creators did the same thing. But she got me back because she then went through some of my meme posts, which are just also taken from, confession booths or whatever, where I put like some edits, and she was like, oh, I didn't know that like content creators. I was like, damn. But I think I can't have beef with like multiple people in the chess world, so I think that one.
Who do you have the biggest beef with in the chess world?
Nobody. Oh.
I don't know if he wants to talk about this.
No. I mean, I would say no. It's all good. I mean, it's all friendly. It's all nice. Mm-hmm. We all love each other. We're here at the first.
I mean, beef sometimes, even if it's not serious, like I Hate This Woman, it just helps everybody's content out.
Yeah, for sure. It's like really good when Andrea's going on podcasts and saying she'll beat me up.
I tried my best.
But you have like better targets, I feel.
To beat up?
Who do you think she should target?
Yeah, who should I be beefing with? I'm kind of past the beef days, and I'm on to my friendly, amicable content arc.
Same.
Yeah, she's even getting along with Hans now.
Yeah.
Same, I think.
Yeah, how is that going for you? He's been tweeting at you a lot.
Yeah, not even subtweeting. Just straight up name dropping. It's I'm still in the due diligence phase of figuring out if Hans Demon is a little nuts, or if the whole thing is a very well curated WWE villain style character.
Right.
Because we had a very cordial interaction 30 seconds before we sat down for the interview in Paris. We shook hands. And then I just watched the light switch flick and his eyes light up. And all of a sudden I was just on the receiving end of the Hans Niemann show. But when I was sitting there, it felt like time stopped. I couldn't believe what was going on. It was like I was watching a show, but I was watching myself be a character in the show. And then in New York, it was very cordial, and now he's offering to be my coach.
Are you going to take him up on that?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the coaching offer was $200,000, and now it's zero. So I'm a good negotiator. I didn't say anything.
Every time he puts coaching out there, he's just like, it's going to be very, very expensive. And you're the only one who's gotten it for free as an offer.
I didn't do anything to deserve it. But he also wrote something recently, like he really hopes that I succeed in all chess content creators.
I saw that it's inspiring and we should get back into the competitive
Hey, he's
art.
also in his friendly, amicable art.
For sure.
Yeah, and he just got a wild card. I don't know when this episode will drop, but he got a wild card to the April freestyle thing. So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a passenger or spectator in the chess world because it's just, there's so many personalities. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of sports have very strange and captivating personalities.
Do you think chess personalities just treat you very differently, though, because you're like one of the biggest stars in chess? Or do you think it's still Eloist, so to say?
Oh, you're saying, yeah, I've definitely felt a bit scorned. Is that the right word? Or just kind of looked down on? But I think a lot. I've always said no. I'm not gonna name names.
We're not naming names, and don't go fishing.
No. But okay, you're saying look down upon by classical.
I think there's a lot of top players who have no respect for influencers, and it comes out in different ways. Mm-hmm. So some of them are sarcastic, like on social media, like Anish. But then he does the lie detector thing, and he kind of says the truth, which is, like deep down he doesn't think we deserve maybe the stardom or whatever it is. For the record, I've said the same thing. Yep. Said like it's kind of ridiculous that chess content creators are more popular than chess players who have sacrificed their whole life to play the game, and we recap games or make tutorials about chess tips and whatever. But it's not really our fault. Like chess is an activity that people at home it resonates more closely when they watch our content. Rather than watching top players. So we all have to be in it together. They all also have to be part of growing the game and making it more accessible and making themselves more accessible to people who watch. And then that's like the incumbent chess top players who are in their like 30s and so on. But then there's the young generation of players, like Gukesh is the world champ. Some of the Indians are 20, 21. Vincent Keimer is 20. Nodirbek Abdusattorov is, I don't know, 20, 21, maybe 22. Sindarov is 19, etc. Like, it's kind of hard to get some of these guys to build up any social presence. And it's very different. Indians are well taken care of. They get good sponsorship. They invest in their players. So they kind of don't have to do the whole social media circus. Whereas like Vincent Keimer, I don't know how much sponsorship he has. Some of these other players, let's say in Europe, they don't have as much support. So, I mean, I can go on and on, but this all goes back to the fact that, I think top players kind of look at us and are like, except Levon.
Levon is incredible.
Yeah, Levon's great. And I wish him nothing but the best, because that man is, it's like he doesn't feel envy, jealousy. He's just like happy to collaborate with people, and he doesn't look at anybody and go, I was their rating when I was 6 years old. I can't believe they have such a big channel.
Yeah.
So he's great.
It actually reminds me of something similar with esports, where one of my friends is like managing a team, and he's talking about how it's not enough to just be good as a player. If you can't build out your social following, you're not going to be able to stick around for a while. And I know probably by the time this video comes out, there's going to be a lot of announcements for all the chess players being signed to esports team. Do you think that has legs to stand on? Are we going to maybe see an esports boom with chess?
I hope so. Right? Esports World Cup has been going on for a few years. A lot of top players are signing with teams. They were also signing in 2020 when esports were just pouring a bunch of money into everything. And ultimately a bunch of them went bankrupt effectively, and also there was nothing to compete for.
Like one of the orgs we were with shut down.
We remember we were
Who which
Envy.
one? Oh,
they
Envy.
got
But
bought by
Optic
Optic, so and Optic is doing well.
but
so.
it was very much the same question. We were like trying to make content for them, but it was like, what are we actually doing here?
Like, why are we? It's a
Why
Call
are,
of Duty
it was
team.
awesome.
What can we actually
it was
help
great.
them with?
We
No,
love them,
we
but
like
we're
them,
like,
but I
we
can
have
tell
no
we're not that
purpose
helpful.
here.
And yeah, in 2020 when you signed, or maybe you signed in 21, but Hikaru signed, Nemo signed. I remember I was still coming up at the time, and nobody reached out to me.
Really?
Like, not a
Really?
single, yeah. And this was all part of
That's
my,
shocking.
this might have been my villain arc in 2020. Like, it might be why I just worked so hard to get to where I am, because, yeah, there was a period of time, not a single org reached out. Most of my comment section was accusing me of just, like, trying to copy or be like some other chess content creator at the time, which there weren't that many. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was my villain / winter arc in 2020, and I just worked really hard. But I've only ever gotten to the final contract stage with one org, which will go unnamed. But we just couldn't come to terms. Like, they wanted a bit too much. It was already past all this big spending, and same with like a live streaming contract. I never got one, so I just kind of, I don't know. Maybe in some ways it was good for me because I just focused on all my own stuff. But as far as the question, yeah, it's great. I mean, there's all these people trying to disrupt chess in a good way. Global Chess League, which was this online thing, it's backed by a lot of Indian businessmen. It's kind of trying to be a for-profit sports league for chess. I think they were working on getting sponsors for the second edition in London. I wasn't able to go, but maybe I'll be at the third one. Freestyle Chess, which has, I think they've announced they have 20 million in funding. Whenever this drops, they might have more. I don't know. It seems like they're raising a lot of money. They have a lot of interest. Esports World Cup might blow the whole thing out of the water because it's in Saudi. And Saudi Arabia has become the kingdom, no pun intended, for combat sports over the last few years. You see these fighters there getting paid like 40 million, 50 million, all major fights. Canelo just signed a 4-fight deal there. So yeah, it might be really big for chess, and it might extend the careers of guys like Magnus, Hikaru, etc. So I'm optimistic. Ultimately, for us, it's all about who's watching chess. Like, what do people do when they want to get into a hobby? They go to YouTube.
Yeah.
So it benefits all of us ultimately, and then maybe they'll sign up on chess.com, and it's a very different funnel for us than the top players, but hopefully we get to do more content with them, and make it interesting for people at home.
Do you think interest in chess has peaked, or do you think waves like this you'll see changes in your YouTube?
It's really hard to say. I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. Every odd number year is a spike, and every even number year is like a hangover. So 2020, Queen's Gambit comes out. 2021 is this insane spike for almost an entire year. Then like the analytics just go like this, down, 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 etc. And 2022, it's down. Hans Magnus, September, rocket ship again, and then 2023 early was like short form content explosion, which I'm not even sure people know was probably 10x the analytics of the Queen's Gambit. Down, 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 down. 2024 was like pretty down. Nothing really crazy happened.
2024 was tough.
It was
Yeah.
for us the
I don't know if
latest
you ever
year.
get stressed out by the numbers. We definitely do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of insane that as a content creator, 1 year versus another, your earnings go down by like 40%.
Yeah,
Yep.
even more sometimes.
Like,
Our earnings went down like 40%, but views on YouTube were almost similar just because of short form, but it was completely opposite.
yeah, and there's like there's a lot of things to unpack there. So, chess had 3 spikes, right? So the first one was Queen's Gambit, and that took viewership from like 100,000 in 48 hours to 1 million. It probably 10x viewership, but there was no short form back then. And then there was the cheating scandal, which got it close to the Queen's Gambit level, but not quite. And then there was the short form content explosion. So it took
I'd
me.
also had PogChamps on Twitch during the pandemic.
Yeah, like that was like the
pre-Queen's
appetizer.
Gambit, yeah.
Exactly. That was when the world was shutting down. PogChamps inspired me to stop teaching chess because the world shut down and all my students were just kind of off, dispersing to wherever they went during the pandemic.
How many viewers did you have when you went full time into chess content?
Live streaming?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think a good stream was 200-300 views.
Yeah, and you weren't doing YouTube yet.
No, this was maybe May, June 2020, I was covering those tournaments that were happening, like the Magnus Carlsen Invitational or whatever that, Chess 24 was putting on.
Oh my god, Chess 24.
Yeah, RIP, except on social media. But, the chess world kind of feels like Agar.io, the blob game, where you just like approach and you press space and you just go and it's like, yeah, even with with Chessly, I have to think like, will chess.com buy me, or am I going to build enough stuff that an edtech company might acquire me, or I build some cool stuff that Duolingo is interested or something like that. But yeah, I don't want to talk about too many things at the same time. But yeah, like that was a period where, I mean, early day streaming was crazy. You would have Twitch Chess had like 3 people that supported all of us, and we would all try to like collab and raid each other. And I think like a lot of fans ask why don't you guys collab as much anymore? And I mean, first of all, I think we're lazy, and second of all, back then like it was kind of nice to combine your audiences, and now we're like, we just do our own thing. We kind of matured. Like now we're not so stressed about the numbers, but yeah, early days of pandemic was pretty crazy, but
I do kind of miss the collabs. I feel like we lost a little something there.
Yeah, we should do it. For me, it's like
you can only do 1 yearly collab.
Yes, I have a maximum quota of 1 collab a year. Well, if Andrea doesn't arrive like 40 minutes late, we could do 2.
It's one time.
That was brutal. That was a tough collab. I lost my mind after. You should have seen me after that collab.
Well, yeah, for regular Twitch stream standards, I think all Twitch streamers ran late, so I just kept justifying it. Everyone else is late, but now we're professional podcasters. But I think collabs have lost the authenticity. Can't say words this morning. I think collabs have lost the authenticity.
That was good.
I can't. Authenticity. Okay.
You're doing your best.
Alright, anyways. OG chess collabs aren't the same anymore, and they don't feel the same natural, because I think people were just doing it out of love for the community, and now, kind of what you're saying, like, not even that it's matured, but I don't know, to me it doesn't feel the same. I don't think you can really recreate the same spark that you had when everyone were small streamers and they were just doing it out of, like, natural.
Or maybe it's evolving and collabs are more in person now, because that feels more natural. Like, when people are at the same tournament, you really jump on the opportunity, and it's honestly just more fun in person.
For sure. And now I angle some of my collabs, let's say with Hikaru at a tournament, like I get him for 2-3 minutes to do some short form stuff, because it's a totally different ecosystem getting people into chess in shorts versus long form. But yeah, going back to the fact that it's kind of weird being a content creator, and especially in chess, because we haven't organically generated enough interest in ourselves. But part of it is like, it's hard. I mean, people watch live sports, they know exactly when the season starts, the preseason starts, they follow all the big trades. I was in Toronto for the candidates, and I took a walk. Toronto is, I think, the city I've been recognized the most in.
Really? That's
surprising. Which means there's...
How often did you get recognized walking around?
Like 10 times.
In a day?
Yeah.
But wasn't it also because a tournament was going on at the same time?
Right. So that's my point. People there are like young, I guess they're in college, they're working professionals, and a lot of them watch chess. And so many of them were like, "What are you doing in Toronto?" And I was like, "What?" "Yeah, I'm here for the candidates." They're like, "Oh, it's here?"
Wow.
Which is an indictment on the International Chess Federation, that you have the first candidates tournament in North America, and people on the street don't know it's happening. Like, you gotta geo-target. You gotta do something. And they gotta invite more content creators, which they don't do. Maybe they will start doing it more.
Maybe they'll learn from Freestyle.
Maybe. Admittedly, I was invited there, but I was invited there maybe 3-4 days prior. And not, I live in New York. It's a 45-minute flight, wheels up, wheels down. The same in Sweden. I was in Stockholm to play Pia Kramling. 1 block from the location, a guy recognized me and says, "What are you doing in Stockholm?"
But don't you think that's because the audience is very different? Like, the audience that's gonna invest hours into Twitch watching actual tournaments versus, like, the popular mainstream who's just watching clips from streams and TikTok, which is, like, such a large audience. For example, like, how often do you get recognized, and what's the regular age demographic? You said it's much younger. They were in your young...
Well, there's 2 things there. Yeah, I think people who follow chess just follow it to learn a little bit, learn some openings, and kind of, like, play their friends. Play their parent, play their kid, play their grandparents.
The casual chess player who is not necessarily a viewer of high-level tournaments.
Yeah, but in sports, I don't think that market is that big. People don't just follow, like, football highlights but don't watch the games. Like, you watch a sport, that's what you're doing. You follow storylines of players or athletes, and then you watch the games.
Yeah, the people watching, like, their sport elo is probably 1,000, which is actually comparable.
Yeah, exactly. I would argue I am a casual tennis fan. I forget tournaments start, and in the beginning nobody really cares about the matchups, and then I start watching like round of 32. Then I'll watch the semifinal, and I'll watch the final or whatever, men and women. But I don't follow the storylines. I don't know anything in the off season. My tennis elo is probably around 800. Like if I had to compare the two. Yeah, but chess, that's like 90% of the fan base. It's crazy. I mean, they go in and out. They watch a little bit. They buy a course. They buy a book. They buy like the Botez chess set. They might get a friend or two into chess, and it's sort of always a part of their life. But they have no idea what's going on at the top level. Like they don't follow the tournaments, which is interesting. And I wonder if it's ever fixable or curable. I don't know. Like that's an interesting talking point. As far as getting recognized, it's actually usually like people in their 20s plus. 20s, 30s, 40s. One in, I want to say 20 is a woman. And then like
if you get excited.
If it's a woman, it's a 50-50 chance that it's their boyfriend or husband who watches me, and they go, "Oh my god, he's going to lose his mind. Can we take a selfie?" But then like randomly, it will just be like, "Oh, like I'm a huge fan. I like your game breakdowns." And I'm like, "Oh, like thank you. Nice to meet you." Yeah, and then it's mostly dudes. They're mostly like 20 to 25. Sometimes it's kids. I was getting a pizza once, and a group of like maybe 8th graders walked in. I could tell because 3 of them were too shy, but one was like really extroverted. He pulled up and he just walked up and he went, "What's up, Holmes?" He just like dapped me up, and then he was like, "You sacrifice any rooks today?"
Oh no!
Like the story sounds fake.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, "No, man, but I will, And he was like, "What's the next video, G?" And
he definitely doesn't watch the videos. No,
yeah, and I was like, "Oh, you haven't looked?" He's like, "Nah, man, I've been in school." And I was like, "All right, well, you have a good one." I mean, like, Lucy and I have walked the dog in our neighborhood, and a kid, like, bikes around following us.
Do you generally like being famous, or is it ever too much?
No, it's fine. I don't know. I'm not cut out to be whatever a famous person is supposed to be. Like, I'm a regular dude. Not much has changed. Financial security is very nice. That can't be understated. But I'm the same. I probably, like, on a per conversation basis in, let's say, business deals, take a lot less shit than maybe I would if I, like, needed certain opportunities. I just, like... and I don't know if you feel like this, but over the last few years, I feel like I've learned so much that I could probably teach like a intro to business course at some university. Tough negotiations, tough conversations. I mean, like business deals, understanding like structure, investing, all this stuff. Like we have to learn this just from zero. It's not just YouTube content. But no, it's fine. The only time it's ever been weird, again, like maybe 1 in 25 or something, people who recognize you are weird and overbearing. I imagine in your case it might be slightly higher for obvious reasons. But in my case it's okay. I mean, if I'm like on the street carrying groceries back with Lucy and we're in an argument, this has happened. Like we're kind of arguing, maybe like you guys do.
Yeah.
Old married couple style, and a dude running by goes, "What's up, Levi?" And I was just like, "That's not my f***ing name!" Like, that was my, But that's, it's okay. I can't think of anything bad. Of course, I've had some weird interactions, but for the most part, it's fine. And chess fans, especially in Europe, are very lovely.
Especially in Europe.
No, American fans per capita are far more annoying. They ask me to take their phone and record me yelling the rook to their friend, or can you record a message to my friend, or like they in Germany they just walk up and say, "Hello, can we make a picture, please?" And we do, and that's it. In Spain the same thing. In Spain they would wait outside the chess club after my games were done in the tournament in Madrid, which you almost played at but ended up not playing at. But like I lost like a heartbreaking game, and there was 50 people outside the club because if I won, I would have made a GM norm.
Oh,
and wow. I'm winning the game, and I'm seeing the fans, and it's like such an amazing moment, and I like blunder, and I'm losing, and I just wish I could vanish, but I have only one exit out of the club, and I'm like, oh my god, get yourself together. You're gonna have to like put a smile on and like take photos with people, and I exit the club, and they just parted and let me leave.
That's Shocking.
And I just like walked, and then finally some guy was like, "Levy, don't worry, we love you so much, man. Good luck." And I was like, "Thank you."
That's so sweet.
But yeah, in America it would be like, "Levy,
You blundered the title. Let's take a selfie.
What's the
now.
title of the recap?" Like, so in Europe they are nice. They are nice. They somehow have more EQ. But I don't know. Do you guys like being famous?
Usually, I think it's nice because you get financial security. It's easier to reach out to people you want to meet. You take less shit, like you said. So that part is good. I've also had moments where I'm like having a mental breakdown outside. I'm crying. Someone's like, "Can you take a photo?" I'm shaking. I'm like, "Not right now." What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I mean, I think content creator fame is so subjective. For example, like, you're a way larger scale creator than us, and a lot of times you get recognized, it's like through the most random things. And this is what I was going to ask you, like, do you feel the scale of being like the biggest and the greatest chess YouTuber of all time? But I think for us, we've had this conversation many times. Obviously, the pros are always going to outweigh the cons. And I love the access to things, and I love the freedom it gives me to pursue other projects, so I really can't complain. But I was really curious, like, do you feel the scale of being the greatest chess YouTuber of all time? But it sounds like it doesn't really.
Yeah. I don't know if I would say I feel anything. Like, it's not like I wake up and I go, "I'm the biggest chess channel on YouTube." Ah!
You don't say that to yourself
Like
in the morning every day?
No, I don't manifest.
You're great.
You should.
I don't
do more
meditate.
manifesting.
I don't take supplements, creatine, but not here. You know, having 2 weeks with no creatine in Europe has been really sad. I was thinking to pack a bag of white powder.
Oh, and
You
we
should
came
have.
with bone broth.
We always pack our protein powders.
Yeah, but I figured they would think it's like ricin or
Yeah.
anthrax or cocaine.
Yeah, something suspicious.
Yeah, and then they
Yeah.
check. It's no harm.
Imagine the headlines.
On the way from JFK to Germany, my bag was flagged at TSA, and this is going to hopefully make them tighten up their security. But it was a microphone. My microphone always sets off things. They've never seen. I mean, it's just a microphone, but like whatever. It's a strange thing. And I'm watching the TSA agent, open my bag, and it's pretty stuffed. I was packing a backpack for 2 weeks along with my suitcase. And they like just never found the microphone. Like I knew it was the microphone. She's like zipping it, zipping, like looking. It's like stuffed, and she's not taking anything out. And she just gives up, and she just gave me back the bag. It's
Damn.
like, what if it wasn't a microphone? But I mean,
This was German security?
no, this was American security.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Which now, so point being that I didn't want to take a bag of white powder, but maybe I should have. Maybe it
Yeah.
would have been fine.
How do you deal with traveling all the time?
I don't though.
You don't travel that
But wait,
much,
I never
huh?
answered Andrea's
yeah,
question.
sorry.
We keep getting
It's okay.
we keep getting
The
sidetracked.
ADHD flow is good. We like the ADHD.
But
yeah,
no,
go back to Andreas.
I don't wake up feeling any different. I will say like I'm competitive. I don't want to give up being the number one channel on YouTube, but that's about it. Like I enjoy having a view of what everybody's working on, what everybody's doing, like what the trends are, what's working, what's not working. That's what I've done for 5 years. Like the research I did in the beginning of the pandemic for what's on YouTube, what's not, all the instructional content. You have to remember, before that I was teaching chess for 7-8 years, so I just took what I did in the classroom with kids into videos. And for me, it's very natural to just turn on the camera and talk about chess for 30 minutes. It's not scripted or whatever, and I can make jokes based on what's happening in the world at the time or what's on the screen. And yeah, I guess that's my ability, and that's what I love to do. I think the only thing that's strange in my position as the biggest chess channel is now any chess project, whether it's freestyle, whether it's take, whether it's, I think that's it. But there's like others. I mean, there's TV shows that want some chess element. There's people that want to integrate chess into a private school curriculum and they want me on board somehow. Everybody calls you. Everybody tries to offer you collaboration, fee, equity, whatever. And I just have to sit at home like, what is worth dedicating my time to and what isn't? That's maybe the hardest part, because everybody tries to ask you for strategic advice, whatever. And you both have a lot of other stuff. Like you have poker, you have your, I don't know how much crypto you do, but you also have investing. Like you're investing in startups and everything. You are boxing and doing DJ stuff, and I don't know, maybe you have other stuff going on. Like, I do chess. That's my entire thing. In terms of content, okay, like obviously I invest in things, but none of that is really anything I do content-wise. So that's what I love to do. And yeah, I would say the biggest struggle now for me is dedicating the time of like, where do I want to travel? Last year I traveled so much that when we returned home from Sweden, the Border Patrol guy was like, Mr. Osman, what's your job? And I was like, I make YouTube videos. He's like, because I noticed you travel as much as some flight crew.
Wow.
And I was like, I make YouTube videos. He was like, about what? I was like, chess. He was like, you know Magnus Carlsen? I was like, yes. He was like, you friends? I was like, no. I don't think he would say so. Maybe in a parasocial way. And then he was like, oh, you know Vishy Anand?
Oh, no.
You know, because he was Indian. And he was like, you know Vishy Anand? I was like, yes, I know who Vishy Anand is. And then, you know, we talked. And he was very nice. I was his first customer of the day, crossing the border back into America, so he was very chatty, and that's generally the line of questioning. It's like, chess, do you know Magnus, do you know Vishy, do you know Kasparov, etc., and then, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I don't have any plans of, like, stopping content anytime soon. I really like it, I really enjoy it, but the hardest one, yeah, for sure, is all these different ventures that want to come up in the chess world, and that's what I would say. And I completely forgot your question.
It's okay, I have another one.
Okay, hit me.
So, in terms of chess content then, do you just see yourself doing it for as long as you can? Are there any big goals?
Hopefully, chess doesn't stop growing. It's good that we have the Netflix stuff coming out. There's other series being filmed. There's the Emma Stone, Ben Mesrick.
The A24
Yeah, like, that's crazy. A24 is massive. I didn't know how big A24 was until we opened Max on our TV, HBO, Max, whatever, and there's a whole A24 section. The A24 is giant, so as long as that stuff keeps happening, I will be there welcoming the noobs with open arms, whether it's through memes, short form content, you know, long form content, Chessly, like that type of stuff, and making chess a little bit less mysterious for people. So that's always been my objective, and I don't know how much longer we'll have in this. Like, probably a lot. I mean, what the hell else are we gonna do if not make content? But yeah, I don't have any sort of exit plan. The only big scary thing looming over the chess world is what happens when Magnus and Hikaru retire.
Right.
But
which
Hans replaces them.
Yeah, but you can't even just have one, right? Like, you need multiple.
Another.
Hans can't hold the whole thing up. Also, Hans needs to become, like, world champion in that case, right? And that would be like when when Voldemort takes over Hogwarts, you know? But at that point, Hans might not fully play the villain. Like, we don't know. I don't know what the Hans storyline is going to be. And he's been so close. Like, he almost beat Magnus in the World Blitz, but he wasn't able to. Obviously, Paris Speed Chess Championship was tough for him ultimately, but I'm waiting for the big Hans breakthrough, and I wonder what the victory speech is going to be like. Will it be the you know, we've conquered everybody in the chess world, or will it be, you know, gracious and just sort of putting the past behind? I don't know. But we'll see.
So you're about to reach 6 million on YouTube, and I know it's kind of cringe to analyze yourself, but why do you think you're the one who made it to the top?
I don't know. Personality and really handsome. Really humble also. I don't know. I think maybe teaching children about the London and the Italian game and endgames and everything, it helped me break down chess in a more accessible fashion.
You're also very hardworking. Like, whenever chess news comes out, I don't know if you pause what you're doing and get to your computer immediately. You almost never missed an upload. You're one of the first to go to YouTube.
Yeah, I would say it's like hard work meets luck. I could not have imagined that the Queen's Gambit would have come out and been so successful. At the same time, even as early as 2020, I was researching already for hours what's on YouTube, what's worth making, what's not. Like, I specifically remember putting myself in the mind of a person at home when the Queen's Gambit drops, and they would go, how to play chess. Mm-hmm. And the only videos out were like a 3-minute tutorial and on some random channel, one of those how-to channels. So I decided, okay, I'll just make like a 30-minute tutorial and see how it does. For 5 years straight, I've uploaded a YouTube video almost every day, and probably a YouTube short almost every day, like since I started. So yeah, I worked really hard, and maybe if I had to describe why people gravitate to my channel the most, or my channel is, let's say, the most recommended, and then people stick, and then people find Botez, or they find Kramling, or Hikaru, or Rosen, or Neraditsky, or Chesbra, or Agadmater.
Trickle down economics.
Like,
They find you
yeah,
and they
I
come
don't.
to us.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing some, and I don't want people to yell at me. Okay, obviously, Chess-Based India exists in its whole own world, which is just.
And we love India.
Levy goes
Correct.
on to name every single chess content creator. To
I
not
probably,
leave anyone
I
out.
actually probably can, just because even to this day, I'm Jules Gambit, right. I'm, even now I still know almost all the channels that have north of 100K, just because I don't know, I just pay attention. Yeah, I don't know, maybe people gravitate to me because I'm strong enough to understand top level chess. I know tons of openings. I probably have the knowledge of a weak grandmaster. I don't have the nervous system and competitive skills of a grandmaster, but
Or not yet.
sure, yes, not yet, and maybe that's why. But everybody likes different stuff. I don't go outside and play a lot of chess. I don't like to film in public, and I know that the video you dropped from Union Square set off an entire revolution of people going outside, 20 million views. That was crazy, and I remember watching it wow. Damn, maybe I should have done that. But I wasn't going to, immediately go do it. Because...
You lived in New York. It could have been a little stroll for you.
Yeah.
quite
Or
accessible.
a trip on a train and a crazy homeless guy and someone pissing on the tracks. And, yeah, it's kind of a zoo out there. But, yeah, so that's maybe why people gravitate.
Which, speaking of your going outside and your weak grandmaster skills, how ambitious are you to continue pursuing your competitive chess?
Quite, but not publicly. For me...
Why not publicly? Did that make it harder?
Yeah, I think it did. I think when I returned to chess after retiring for 2 years, it's it's a ridiculous thing to say, but when I basically quit playing, especially in the public eye in 2022, I just couldn't handle the stress anymore, and I felt like I wasn't dedicating enough to actually genuinely train. Training at 21 and 2200 is tough now. I don't know if you're playing that much over the board, but even at 1900 FIDE, you play 10-year-olds who you don't know could be an IM in 3 years, or they're just 1900. And in my case, you have to, it's a ridiculous amount of training. And there was a lot of nerves and negative emotions, so I said, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. And then when I came back in Madrid, my first game, I beat a 25-30 GM. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm capable of. This is crazy. The whole world was watching, and I managed to win. Oh, everybody's now. And then I drew my next game, and then I won against this young Spanish kid who's gonna be GM, and then I drew my next game, and then I beat a GM. I had 4 out of 5. I was I still wasn't fully realizing that a norm was possible, but I was okay, we'll take it one game at a time. And I my 8th game, the winner was taking a norm. We both were in a run for it. So my first 3 tournaments back, I was working really hard, and I was training and everything was going well. I was winning. But the last 3 tournaments, I guess what I'm realizing is I'm very streaky. I have a very hard, for some reason, when I start losing and when the ball doesn't go in the goal or the hoop, I just completely can't reset. I don't know why. So... On top of that, it's really difficult to have all of your games streamed and analyzed by the second best player in the world. And I didn't realize just how much pressure that puts on me until I started losing. When you're winning, you don't give a shit. You're analyze my games, whatever. I'm winning, it's great. But it really sucks. And it's, it's I don't have that ability to just be you, I'm gonna win all my games, and I don't care what's being said about me. Yeah, it's it's hard for me. So I'll train silently, and I'll probably play in tournaments, and ideally they're not all being broadcast and whatever. But I mean, it's the price of fame. I can't be out here crying that people get to watch my games when I make breakdowns of people who are also playing top of the world. Although it's different. Being a top level athlete is not the same as playing in tournaments as a content creator, because we're not cut out for that and like that whole edge.
And speaking of reacting to how people are commenting your games, I mean, do comments ever get to you? How do you deal with public opinion?
No, Danny asked me in our lie detector video if comments have ever hurt my feelings or whatever, and no.
But you read them still?
Yeah, I like to
So
see
you read them and it just doesn't bother you?
Oh yeah, people say vile stuff. But people also say really nice things. But it's also important to remember, like, over 98, 99% of people just watch, and they're having a great time. And if I ever talk about the fact that I'm feeling down, people will come out in droves and be like, dude, like, we just watch silently. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're all good. Also, I have, like, content where I'm making fun of low elo chess, right? I have content where I'm roasting, and everything. And so the people that never leave their house are gonna, who see sunlight once a year, are gonna be like, well, how can he talk about being upset with comments when he's so rude and belittling? and people don't. I mean, dude, low level chess is hilarious. I roast myself all the time. Like, it's not the same thing. I mean, and we get all sorts of things, right? Like, we get shit for how we look that day, or how we are acting, or I mean, you read the comments of the commentary panel here, right? Like, we're doing this podcast in the first freestyle event. You read the live chat, you would think we all hate each other. None of us get along. There's no chemistry among the commentators. We're all idiots. All of our voices are annoying. And then you leave the show and you're like, I think that went well. But the comments would make you like, what the fuck? Like, what do these people see that I don't see? And then you have to wonder, are they serious or are they trolling? Like, are people just writing really vile stuff? So, I don't know. It's just a trend, I feel, over the last 3-4 years, especially online. People have gotten really bold. They say, like, absolutely crazy stuff. I mean, I've had people DM me and message me and email me on, like, 30 different accounts. And it's obviously all the same person. And it's, like, threatening or just insulting me. And sometimes I'll even engage and be like, dude, you need help. Like, I wish the best for you, dude. Like, if you're healthy, you don't behave this way. So go to therapy, go take a walk, drink some water, do some push-ups. Like, this is not a healthy behavior that you're currently going through. And I don't think it ever works, but one can try.
Going back to your commentary here at Freestyle, for us at least, this was the first time ever that we're co-working in the same space as Magnus Carlsen and all the top chess players in the world. I don't know if this was not your first time, but the first time all the streamers are in this world. Are there any main takeaways for this week or anything that you found surprising in the final days of the freestyle tournament that we're at?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good. I think they're the first ones that bought in fully to getting all the chess players and content creators in the same place. Not to say chess.com hasn't done that, but chess.com was definitely the first in terms of really high production value. There was a year that like a former, I think, NFL, either broadcasting executive or pure NFL executive was running the production. He's not with chess.com anymore, but I was there that year, and let me tell you, like, the whole thing was absolutely on point. You had 50 people running production, tons of stats, tons of graphics. When we would be on the panel, that was the first time I experienced the true sports broadcasting. Like, we'd be talking like this, I'd be making a point, in your ear you would get rap. Like, wrap it up.
Feels so professional.
Yeah, Alexander's next. Nobody's talking over each other. So I've seen the highest point of chess broadcasting, and now I'm here, and it's very cool to see at least, like, they're fully bought into the fact that content creators and chess players together can really expand the reach. FIDE, International Chess Federation, has never done that, which is a bad thing. Like, I think they absolutely should have done that. But they do things how they do things. And for them, it's more important that people are following a dress code, they're behaving in ladylike and gentlemanly fashion, like they're elevating the game, in like a kind of like one of those, I'd say like a golf or a tennis way, where it's like everything is very, I don't even know the right way to describe it, but it's like very proper. And, on Wall Street, chess and business, all the serious stuff. Meanwhile, I can make a YouTube reel, Instagram reel about jeans gains, gets 10 million views. Like, nobody, the truth is, like, 10 million supersedes a very beautiful business dinner or something like that. I think they're both important, but ultimately you need to, like, you need eyeballs. You need people to watch top level chess. So I'm glad Freestyle bought into the whole thing. Having said that, they are a project. They are a VC. They have funding. They spent a lot of money on this tournament, and they are going to spend a lot more money putting these tournaments on in Paris and New York. So maybe we won't all see each other again, because maybe there won't be enough budget for all of us. I'm hoping there will be.
Make sure to check out Freestyle if you're watching this video, so that we can keep
the reason we're all here today.
Yeah, but, so I think they've done a lot of good things. I think they still have a lot to improve on. And that's the exciting thing about having investors, about having like a VC style, is you can change anything just by snapping your fingers frequently. But they, 20% of their 5-event tour is over. So let's see what they can come up with for Paris and so on. And
are you going to be at the next event?
No, I won't be in Paris. If it's in New York, probably I'll be there. Will you be in Paris?
We're not sure yet.
Okay. They haven't we haven't signed any contracts yet.
Yeah, we're still all figuring it out.
That's the other thing. I'll break the fourth wall a little bit. It's like nice and great to be like friendly with the organizers and everything, but at the end of the day, like, it's a business. Like, the whole thing's a business. You can have dinner, you can be very pleasant, but if they're like, hey, show up to the next event, you're like, what's the contract? Like, you can't just, like, what are the terms? You can't just, we're not all in an open-ended fashion doing each other favors. So we're work colleagues, we're professionals, we can be friendly, we can go to the sauna together and everything, but, like, you got investors, like, you have, people expect a return, and so, they have to do everything really right, or else it will just be another project in the chess world that lasts a year and sort of fizzles out.
What have you learned from being married?
So I think a lot of us behave the way we behave now due to all sorts of things we went through as children. And, like, you meet, whether it's through your parents, arguments, interactions with others, having your genuine problems shut down, and never fully addressed, and you kind of get into adulthood and you realize you have a bunch of sort of unsolved personality traits or problems, some good, some bad, and you meet a person that kind of helps you uncover them, and, like, hears you out, and you either mesh or you don't. I will say I went through more growth and change, like, in the beginning of our relationship, and that's also part of, like, the way I grew up, because I grew up in a household where you really had to have, like, thick skin. People yelled at each other all the time. My parents were divorced from when I was like 5 years old, and I had 3 homes. So I had, like, mom, dad, and grandparents, and I sometimes look back at my childhood and I'm like, I used to carry a backpack with all my belongings, like, around 3 houses, while kids just grow up in one house with, like, 2 parents, a sibling, a dog, and a good support system. My parents never cared much about my chess, like, and to this day, I'm more close to my grandparents than I am my actual parents. I'm on good relationship with, like, I have a little brother. I love him. I'm good terms with my mom and everything. But it's not like the way you normally feel about your parents, and, like, it's definitely not the same feeling. So what I learned is that I need to make sure that if I raise a family, it's never like that. Like, being a parent will be my full-time job. The only advice that I would give for marriage is, and I even say this to Lucy, like, when we fight, like, we're a team. It's very different when you're just dating, because you constantly want to win an argument. You constantly want to, like, prove a point. But at the end of the day, like, if you're wrong, or, even if you still feel like you're right, but it's not the best time to prove the point, you're a team. So you're not enemies. And if you're having some fundamental disagreement, you just can't come to terms. Like, you have to be able to hear the other side. But if you're on the team, you have to be all in. And that way you actually resolve a lot more conflict, because if you're trying to build a future together, then there is no winning and losing. Like, you can win and lose little arguments. For example, I can say, like, somebody said something and she says, no, they said this, and then we check and I was wrong, and I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot, sorry. Like, but that's the biggest realization that I've had to come to, and it really helps, because you can plan a lot of things together that way. And if you're ever at odds and one of you has said something to the other that, like, really bothered the other person, yeah, you should like bring it up and the other person should be able to hear you out and not, shut that down. But
Andrea and I taking notes
I feel like
for
this
our
is
own
our marriage
relationship.
counseling for our sibling relationship.
Andrea, we're on the same team.
We're a team!
Yeah! Oh.
We're a team!
Okay.
We're a team! Okay,
Oh.
it's fine, sorry.
that was one of the most
It's the
uncoordinated things I've
It's the
ever seen.
It's okay, we
Now we
got
can-
this. Well, speaking of life advice, what tips do you have for Alex and I then, just in our content and life pursuits? Is there anything you've noticed?
That we could do better.
Yeah.
Women should lift weights. You should not.
I
that's-
tried that, and everyone got tired of me trying to fight them. So.
No. Like, you have to, like, there's all this, like, health stuff now, right? Like, women actually should lift weights because it's all downhill past, like, the 30s. That's all this health stuff that I'm telling Lucy, like, she's got to start bench pressing, and dude, she's, like, her back is jacked.
That's
so.
awesome.
I actually agree. Like,
But that's a tip, to longevity for any male or female as well. Like, weightlifting is kind of like one of the greatest hacks to long living.
yeah, but speaking of Lucy, it is Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
When you're on Lex's podcast, you said you aren't super romantic. Did you do something for her today?
Did I say that?
Yes.
I felt like we talked about Hans Lehmann for, like, 2 hours. I forgot, like, the other
You
things we
said
discussed.
you're not romantic, yeah.
You did say that.
Did I
Maybe
say
it's changed.
But, like, we both don't do anything crazy. We would go to, like, a nice dinner. Actually, the more significant thing in our household is today is Benji's adoption day.
Oh, your dog?
Yeah, we got him on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
That's so sweet.
3 years ago, and he was this big. And we carried him home, and then he barfed in the back seat. That's how we knew
It's like having a baby.
we were match made in heaven. Listen, raising a baby is hard, but that motherfucker doesn't know how to run like 30 miles an hour. You
Did
know?
that make you more... Did having a dog make you want to have kids more or less?
Teaching chess made me want to have kids way less.
Really?
Yeah, because
Oh,
I got to see it
remember.
firsthand. And
I used to teach chess kids as well, and like half the time, like they get their pants stuck on a chair, they're just running around. You're not even teaching chess. I'm just a glorified babysitter.
yeah, I've taught as young as 4 years old, and obviously I've taught adults, but like I've had 4-year-olds come up to me and be like, I think I had an accident, and they just shat their pants, like in the middle of a class, and I'm like,
Yeah, but Alex still does that, and she's an adult. So.
damn,
Very
that's
funny.
and I was like 19 and was just like, what have I gotten myself into? And yeah, like kids, you could have really nice parents, but the kids are just terrible. I will say, I feel it will be better to raise a kid outside of the U.S. That's kind of my
Do you
dream.
consider moving outside the U.S.?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I want to. At least I want to try.
Where would you want to live?
Spain, Portugal, some cities in Germany, but I haven't been to like Switzerland. I haven't been to enough countries to make an educated decision. But the time I spent in Spain was lovely. But living there is obviously very different. Not sure about Italy, but yeah, right now I'm kind of set on Spain, but I need to travel a bit. Oh, Copenhagen is fantastic, but the weather is terrible.
How much time do you think it'll take until you choose to settle down somewhere else, like in Europe?
Like 5 years.
Okay.
I mean, the United States charges you taxes even if you don't live there. One of only 2 countries on Earth, which is, like, if Trump removes that, I think he will just, like, he will just be the president indefinitely somehow. Like, he's doing all these executive, whatever your political views are, he's every day signing all these executive orders. If he signs one where Americans don't have to pay tax if they can live outside the country, he will never leave the office. My uncle, like, hasn't lived in America for 20 years. He still has to pay taxes. Like, it's crazy. So the process of moving to Europe will be tough because how long it takes me to become a citizen if we really love it and decide to settle down, I'll still have to pay taxes to the American government, which is not great, but Andorra, a lot of people move there. 10% ceiling on income tax. It's pretty good.
That stats degree is really coming in handy. I'm finally seeing it in its full fruition. You got a
Degree?
stats degree, right?
I just Googled this stuff, though.
But you do have a stats
Yeah.
degree.
Statistics and quantitative modeling.
I mean, it does seem like numbers is one of your strengths, but
I almost failed out of college, so, yeah, my last 2 years I stopped going. I was teaching chess. I realized that's where I was going to make money. I didn't care about school anymore. So I got the degree, but it's symbolic more than anything.
See, Andrea?
don't
You
worry.
did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I mean, being a college dropout is like so, I want to say encouraged, but just like normalized by anyone in this industry by now that it's, yeah, it's not news. What's your greatest weakness and strength as a person?
Andrea with the hard-hitting questions.
I once got asked describe yourself in 3 words, and I had no idea how to answer the question. I would say my greatest strength is probably how, like, focused and dedicated I can get to something, which I guess for now is my work, marriage, planning, like, my future. That's probably the 2 biggest things. Weakness, I think I'm too empathetic and I assume too much good in people. So sometimes I'll have a conversation that's like an hour long, not this, but about something, business, anything, and I will come away with a conclusion. I'll talk to Lucy, and she like immediately has her own deductions, and right away I'm like, no, there's no way, ain't no way. Like, my perception, and I'm assuming, certain things about people. And so over the last few years and dealing with so many different business conversations, investors, whatever, I've realized that I just can't assume people would look at a situation and act the way I would act. So luckily in my position, I'm not really set up to be taken advantage of, but especially when you're like a smaller content creator or just starting out in the business world, people, they try to kind of play you. And so it's very easy. Like, I realize as I get older and everything, I'll have conversations with people who are 50, 60, whatever. And even though I've built a lot of stuff, they still look at me as a child and still think they can tell me whatever they want or get me to do whatever they want. And so I've had to just gotten a lot better at just being like, no, I don't care. But that comes with time, and that's not easy. People will watch this, and it's a skill that's very hard to develop. Like, you're in a room one-on-one, someone a bit more senior than you or experienced is sort of like pitching things to you. It's very hard for people to just say, like, I don't really, So, but I've gotten better at that, but I would say that's probably my biggest weakness.
Awesome. Well, Levy, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
It was a pleasure.